It's in the USS.
Okay, here we go. Thank you. The meeting will now be called come to order. We'll take roll. Mr. Hirsch. Here. Mr. Landsberg.
I am here.
Mr. Probst.
Here.
Mr. Gonick. Here. Mr. Net. And I am Mr. Cowley.
Here.
And I here. Would all please rise to the allegiance led by Mr. Hirsch?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The agenda was posted throughout the district according to school board policy, published as a legal ad in the Superior Telegram, posted on the district webpage. A meeting notice was sent to WNXR for announcement and connection for publication. The approval of the October 14th, 2024 agenda. We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agendas.
Mr. Hirsch, motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a second, Mr. Kelly. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda includes the September 9th, 2024 regular board meeting minutes and the treasurer's report, which Mr. Landwehr.
A summary of the treasurer's report as of September 30th, 2024. General fund, general account. On September 30, 2024, there was a balance of $5,618,704.12 in cash and investments. Receipts since the 1st of October and not included in the September 30 balance are $31,654.89, and the disbursements from tonight's October 14th board meeting total $42,088.38. The flexible spending account on September 30, 2024, there was a balance of $23,157.75 in cash and investments. The health reimbursement account on September 30, 2024, there was a balance of $5,650.53 in cash and investments. The debt service fund on September 30, 2024, there was a balance of $674.41 in cash and investments. And a more detailed report on fund activity is included in the financial statements for your review.
Thank you. Item 4C, payment of invoices. We want a chance to peruse the invoices on the computer. If you have any questions, talk to Mr. Potter. Item 4D, resignations employment. Mr. Warren.
Yeah, we have one resignation this month. Miss Carrie Rayflab, Title I paraeducator, resigned her position, and we're looking recommendation for approval of that.
Okay.
Nope, that's it.
Had everybody last?
We're locked solid, ready to go.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion, Mr. Gonick. Mr. Burnett, second. All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Item 5, policies. Rescinding policy 4162 and 8640. 4162 is controlled substance and alcohol policy for employees that transport students. 8640 transportation. Are you going to take this?
Yeah, I'll take it. So we went through our with our Neola rep a couple weeks ago, looking at the new policies that need to be added. There's 2 policies in there, policy 4162 and 8640, that needed to be rescinded. As you can see in 8640, that will be language of this policy has been added to new policy 2340. So that's just for your information that those policies will be rescinded. And we have the first reading of the policy updates, as you can see in your agenda all the way down.
So the first readings, we don't discuss.
No, we don't discuss it. Just to start looking at, we will look to approve those in the month of November. And as you can see, We also have the first reading of the technical changes, and if you see in your enhancement, that many of those technical changes are punctuation and date changes. There are no major changes with the technical changes.
There are, just so people know, there are a number of policies to read, so we probably wouldn't all get to them in a couple days. We've had a chance to
Yeah,
look at
no.
that.
So that's
So we have a
why-
month now.
Yeah, so we got a month to look at these and go over them and then bring back any questions we have on any of them in the November board.
Okay, the, item 6, approval items. 6A is a request from Mr. Nigos and the FFA for students to attend the National FFA Conference in Indianapolis, Indiana, October 22nd through 26th this year. Let us know your names and the year you are in school.
I'm Joey Womack and I'm a sophomore. I'm Kaylee Thomas and I'm a senior and I'm also vice president.
I'm Ashley Erickson. I'm a junior and I'm also the secretary.
I'm Gannon Hill, and I am a junior, and I am the parliamentarian.
Okay, so National Convention is in Indianapolis and it's kind of like the biggest convention for FFA of the year, and it kind of brings everybody together, all the 50 states, including Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And they all come to Indianapolis. It's a big convention with a lot of big companies and a lot of famous people there. And it's a big learning opportunity for our chapter.
Some of the people there, the main one that we're really excited about, her name's Temple Grandin. I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but way back in like I think 1970s, 1980s about, she has mental disabilities, but she created more humane slaughterhouses for animals and to make sure that they were more calm during that process. And she really cares about animal welfare, so we're really excited to see her. We're also going on 3 tours while we were there. On our way down, we're going to go, there will be a cranberry bog tour. There will be, we're going to Fairlife Farms, which is one of the biggest robotic farms in North America. And we're going to the Indiana Corn and Soybean
Innovation
Innovation
Center.
Center.
We are also, while going down there, there will be a college and career fair with over 100 major businesses and colleges, such as, I can't, what was the college?
UW is there,
No,
U of M.
Cambridge.
Cornell.
Cornell.
Ford, Dodge, GMC, Chevy, and a whole bunch of other large corporations related to the field of agriculture will be there, along with all five branches of the military will be there. We're going to be staying just outside of northern Indiana for the first night, and then we're going to continue the drive down into Indianapolis and stay there.
FFA is one of the biggest youth gatherings in the country for nationals. And we already talked about how long we're going to be gone for.
We can talk about it.
Okay, so we're leaving on the 22nd and we'll be back on the 26th. So we're leaving we get dismissed from school at 11:30, drive to Spooner, get on the coach bus with all the districts and stuff. We're sharing the coach bus and driving to Indianapolis. And then Friday night, driving through the night and be back Saturday morning.
We're going to be missing a lot of school for this, as you can probably tell, because that's a Tuesday through Saturday. But we all have plans to talk to our teachers, get our homework and everything for what we need. And but we are gone. It's supposed to be very educational, so I think it can make up for it being gone.
Is it just the 4 people?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been to Indianapolis before?
The last time they went to nationals was I think 2 years ago.
It's a great city. You'll love it. The one thing I would recommend you do is before you leave here, take a look at what our soil looks like. Because it's like reddish clay sometimes. And when you get to Illinois and Indiana, you look, what's all that black stuff?
Brings us back in the coach.
It's actually kind of cool that you see different parts of the country like that. And you're in the heart of farm country there, so it'll kind of be cool.
In past years, I always tell them to look at the trees because usually we're about a week earlier than we have in the past. And so normally all of our leaves are gone. We get back down there and they're in full color. So it's always an interesting thing to take note of too. Yeah, so like I said, logistically, we'd be leaving Tuesday, getting down to Spooner or get onto a coach bus. We're gonna be partnering with 7 other schools from the northern part of the state. And so that helps us with the cost of going down there. And then a couple tours along the way. All of Wednesday, then there'll be tours along the way. They mentioned the Innovation Center. Indiana is known for their corn and soybeans, the corn and soy belt. And then heading down to the actual convention center, then all day on Thursday and Friday. They mentioned one of the keynote speakers is Dr. Temple Grandin. One of the things they didn't mention about her is, do you want to go?
You teach her in his class.
Well, I do.
That's how important she is, that he teaches her in his class.
Yeah, we did talk about her in animal science. She really kind of revolutionized how we process animals. And there's some pretty big name companies that won't use any facility that she hasn't designed. And that actually includes McDonald's. So every McDonald's Big Mac you've ever had has gone through one of her designs. So one of the little connection pieces to that. Any questions?
Have any of you been there previously?
No, sir.
First trip?
It's the first year we've gone in 2 years. So it's been a couple of years since we've gone on this one. And so I'm looking forward to it.
And it'll be on RFD TV.
Yeah, it's also this, if you have RFD TV cable channel, I don't know what the exact cable channel it is, but it is live streamed, all of the sessions and things. So I guess if you got some free time, take a look at that and see if you see us.
I actually did it, but there's like 25,000 people.
It's more than that, actually, double. It's 60,000 high school kids from all 50 states get down there. And so all dressed in the classic corduroy blue jacket of the FFA. And yeah, if you walk down the streets of Indianapolis, it's just a sea of blue corduroy jackets.
Awesome.
The other thing we forgot to mention is the State Hall of Fame. So every state and territory of the U.S. will have their own booth, and they will have like a little presentation about what they have committed and what they do to agriculture for the United States.
Any big guess on what Wisconsin provides there?
Maybe cheese?
Yeah, you'd be right.
Or cheese heads. I'm not sure. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve this request from Mr. Nygus and the FFA members.
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
Motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion, any other questions? Thank you for wearing that shirt too. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6B, Start College Now, Early College Credit Program for spring of 2025.
I think we have Mr. Smith. Are you gonna take this one for us?
Yeah, we have a list of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 students have applied for this, to go to either the Start College Now at Northwood Tech or the Early College Credit Program at UW Superior. There's a registration process deadline that they've met. They signed up for a number of classes. They will not go to all these classes. If the class is full and the college kids register, then they don't get to go. And then there's some, if they haven't taken courses here that we offer, they're not eligible. So there's different criteria. the kids, these are all the kids that applied in the classes they applied for. They will not go to all of these. Usually it's one or two. One of the students, I think, is gonna wants to go kind of full-time, so other than that, it's a onesie or twosie.
What is the requirement? Because I see there are three open enrolled students in. Is there any,
I don't.
is the fact that they're here, regardless of how they're here,
Right.
they qualify for everything under our umbrella?
Yep, there are students.
And these are all, historically, we've charged back a percentage or a flat rate for each of these, haven't we?
I can chalk that up to, I don't know, because it's my first year.
Do you remember what that was?
So the students are responsible if they do not pass the class, or I guess I should say the parents and the students. I'll let them work that out.
I thought there was a something.
So I think and Ms. Cole's the best person to answer this, so please take this with a grain of salt on this one, because I'm not an expert in this program. There is any of our AP classes in-house have some kind of fee associated with them as well. But this is a state program that, as long as the student passes the class, we cover the cost of it, or the program covers the cost of it. So,
Cody. We also receive federal funding.
Yep.
A large portion of that, and that's allocated for this program.
To me, this is, I've always felt this program is money well spent. If we can get kids, help kids out with some college credits and pay for that and get them, so they don't have to pay more after they graduate high school and that, so.
Question, that they can't take the college class if they have not taken the class offered here.
Correct, there's a couple on them that you'll see that when it says spring, it says the letter N.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
The two of them had not taken the course that we offer here.
so I think one of them was like intro psych.
Right.
Now, if they take it at the college, they get college credit for it,
They have to take our course.
but they have to
They
take
have
our
to take our
course
mind and
first.
behavior course first, and
Okay,
they have not done that yet.
okay,
So that makes them ineligible to take it there.
okay.
That's part of the requirement. That's part of the requirement. They got to take our course first. That's why it was rejected.
Okay.
Any other
I have a general question. So these two schools, participating schools in Northwood Tech and EWS, are we limited? I mean, I was curious, did they go other schools?
I think we only can go to these two schools.
UW system.
Yeah. They can't go to Minnesota.
Could they like do WITC and national?
That's out of Northwood.
Oh, that would be, yeah, right.
So they could do that, they could take a class out of Eau Claire or Madison. It's just, a lot of these classes that are there for seniors are, UWS has a lot of them right there in the general ones.
It's a travel issue.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
I see general anatomy and physiology on there. Isn't that a course that we offer?
I don't see the general one.
It's, about in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that might be a case, well, I don't know, Dan. I see the course, yeah.
I just know that we shouldn't do that for the classes we offer.
I'll have to check it, but I'll get back to you. Well,
So is this something then that, I don't mean to cut you off, is this something then that Brina goes through and then
Yeah.
goes, these are the classes that we offered, so these ones are denied and these ones are, so she goes through and takes
The
this
kids
list.
sign up for the courses and the colleges approve it, we approve it. There's quite a process, my understanding. But that's a fair question, Mr. Colley. I don't know. I know, yeah.
I know it might not be offered every year, so it could be a deal where.
Right.
They didn't have a chance.
Any other questions? If not, we would need a motion to approve this the Start College Now / Early College Credit Program for spring 2025.
I'll make a motion to.
Mr. Cully, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, the, NC is the 23-24 budget revisions, so last year's spending of the budget.
Yep, so this is an annual process for our district. The one-page summary needs to be officially approved by the board. It is provided to us by our auditors, so this is a document that we don't create in my office. It's provided to us by our auditors. And it lists all of the Fund 10 major expenses by object. And it shows kind of the areas that we maybe spent a little bit more in than what we anticipated, or the areas that we spent a little bit less in. Overall, the total fund expenditures did decrease to just south of $16.5 million from the previous year. So and that's in relation to a few different factors. One, we did have adjustment staffing as we went through some cuts and reworking of contracts that we have in terms of our purchase services. One of the biggest issues one of the biggest positives we had was it was a very, very mild winter. So the costs associated that come with cold weather and snow removal were not what they typically are for us. So I need to get approval for this, and then it's posted for our electric for 10 days. So this will go up in public posting areas for us as well. It's an annual process for us. It's essentially something that we do every year in October.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
What is, what falls under the umbrella of interfund transfers?
The main transfer for us is our Fund 10 to Fund 27 number. So our special education fund, there's a chunk of Fund 10 that I'll get into weeds a little bit, but Fund 27 cannot operate in a negative. We've never had enough funding to cover the expense of Fund 27, our special education fund, with our federal dollars and our state dollars. So we have to make a transfer from our general fund to Fund 27 to make that book balance. It has to be zeroed out. That is not unique to us. That is true for every district across the state. Just overall.
That's not editorial.
No, we have to do that every year. So these are dollars that increase from one year to the next, or decrease from one year to the next.
Okay, we need a motion to approve those budget revisions.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 budget revisions.
One second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item D, 24-25 tax levy and budget.
Sorry, you guys need to listen to me a lot tonight. So this is another standard process. So tomorrow actually is when our state will provide us with the state equalization aid, the certified state equalization aid. So by statute, by law, by October 15th, the state has to provide that to districts. That's really the last big puzzle piece in the revenue limit formula that I don't have. They give us a projected total, actually starting back in July, and that number I work off of to try to build the budget, but the finalized number comes to us tomorrow. It comes to me tomorrow, probably around noon, I think, thereabouts. So I plug that number into the revenue limit formula. I will talk a little bit more about our enrollment counts here a little bit later on in the meeting, but the three real big pieces of our revenue limit are state equalization aid, our local tax levy, and then our enrollment. So as opposed to having a whole entire separate board meeting, at this meeting, past history said that essentially I asked the board permission to set the levy at the allowable amount as determined by our revenue limit formula, which is essentially what happens in every school district across the state. And that's really what this line item means. We do approve a functional budget at the annual meeting. But I don't have all the finalized numbers yet. This finalized number will come in tomorrow. I don't anticipate it being much different than what we had in the budget. In fact, it's looking like it's going to be about $120,000 less than anticipated. But it's a $7.5 million equalization aid is what we get from the state to help operate our district. It's important to know that that really helps the tax levy. It doesn't mean that we get $7 million plus more than everybody else. It is, as I've said in the past, it's a teeter-totter. So the more state aid they put into the equalization formula for us, the less the tax levy is. and vice versa. So an increase in state aid does not mean an increase in functional spending for our district. As a taxpayer, you definitely like state aid. It helps you. As a business manager from a district, they give us $500,000 more in state aid. That's just subtracted off of the local tax levy and vice versa. So one of the things that is happening in our district, I think it's important for our board to know, property values, as many of you are aware, our assessed values as determined by the Department of Revenue are increasing and in turn are equalized values. So we have north of $1.5 billion in property value within the state or within the district of Maple boundaries. That's about a 14% increase from last year. Again, I don't determine those numbers are given to me. What does that mean? Essentially, in the revenue limit formula, DPI is saying that school district Maple has more property value than what they had in the past, so therefore they get less state aid. So to give you guys general numbers, we were about 60% state aid, 40% local tax levy. We're very, very close to 50-50 right now in terms of the formula and how it works. So even though taxes may go up for some people, and they have, we don't necessarily see a big increase in dollars. That is that the $1 rolls up.
So our area got
I should say
assessed and other areas they didn't.
So we're talking about assessed value versus equalized value. Those are two different things. Our equalized value is north of 1.5 billion. The assessed value is, and I know I've talked to people that have been reassessed. They are going through that. I'm sure some of you may have talked with them as well, or maybe potentially have gone through that process yourselves. So the school district does not have any skin in that game at all. That's completely between the assessor and the property owner. Our mill rate continues to decrease, but that's partially because it's essentially the dollar amounts that we levy divided by the property value that we have. I anticipate the tax levy going up about $300,000 and change from last year's tax levy, so it's not a large increase, but it is a little bit of an increase from last year's local tax levy to this year's local tax levy.
That's about 3% or so.
In the rough, yeah. Our local tax levy will be about $10 million and change.
You said we were 60-40 state to local money and now 50-50.
We're getting closer to 50-50. Yes.
When
that didn't happen overnight.
When was the 60-40 number? Was that last year? Was
No,
that
that was
20
closer
years
to probably 5-6 years ago. I'd have to actually look. But that's what essentially equalized state aid is. It's the property rich districts get less and the property poor districts get more to try to make sure that no matter what your zip code is, every student across their state has an equal access to a quality education. There's a lot more to it than that. So essentially, and this would have to be a roll call and getting your permission to set the levy at the allowable amount based off the revenue limit when I have the finalized numbers.
Does someone want to make a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Hirsch made a motion to second.
Second.
Second, okay, well, roll call vote. Mr. Hirsch?
Yes.
Mr. Lambier?
Yes.
Mr. Ronick?
Yes.
Mr. Cowley?
Yes.
Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
Mr. Probst?
Yes.
And I'll go along with everyone say yes.
Hey, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
And I will come back to the November meeting with all that finalized information for the board, just FYI.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now we've done that, we go to letter E, resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed $2,795,000 pursuant to section 67.12, parent A, parent A1 of Wisconsin statute.
That's a mouthful, but you nailed it, Mr. Graham. I have a representative from Elders. So, and I don't, is it Andrew?
Aaron.
Aaron. I'm sorry.
Close enough. Yeah, the name.
So,
It's been a year.
there you go, my apologies. So every year we do this annual process of short-term borrowing, as some of the board members have heard this spiel from me before. Essentially, our revenues come in waves, but our expenses are pretty standard across the months. So we, like roughly 40% of school districts across the state, have to do some short-term borrowing to make sure that we can pay our bills when the revenues are lean. And make sure that all that goes through. So we work with Ellers, have worked with Ellers for a number of years. I'm going to turn over to Aaron here to kind of talk through that process, so the board can certainly ask any questions that they want to do, and we'll go from there.
All right, good evening, school board members, and I think you just pretty much summed up my presentation right there. So.
Sorry, Tim.
No, so you have the resolution in front of you tonight for approval. We also include what's known as our sale day report to just summarize the financing process that we went through on behalf of the district. And so my partner, Jeff Seeley, maybe you're more accustomed to seeing Jeff, and I work on the Maple team on behalf of Ellers. And so we did receive 4 bids for your financing, which is great. We like to see at least 3. Last year we received 5, so anywhere in that 3 to 5 ballpark is good to see. The low bidder is BOK Financial Securities out of Milwaukee. They were actually the low bidder from last year's issue as well. So this year your interest rate on this financing is about 3.95%. Again, I'm just going to compare that to last year. Last year you were at 5.03%. So again, we've seen some general improvement in the overall interest rates in the market. So that's great to see. Ultimately, that's going to result in about $40,000 less in interest costs than what you saw in last year's borrowing as well. So again, the closing date is on October 22nd. After you approve this tonight and take care of the resolutions, get all that. It takes about a week to get all the paperwork finalized, and then you'll have your funding from this financing going forward. Just in your packet, there's just a bid tabulation that shows the 4 different bidders. Again, there was about a 25 basis point spread between the low bidder and the high bidder, so about 0.25% of an interest rate, and so that just really indicates you got where the market is right now. So we always like to see kind of that narrow spread too. And then finally, just on the last page, just summarizes the financing, your overall interest costs. As I mentioned, quite a bit lower than last year. So we were really happy to see these results come in, and more than happy to answer any questions you have on the financing. So.
The only way to avoid having to borrow is have a huge fund balance, right?
Yeah, the long range goal is, and I said this last year as well, is to try to get to a point where we don't have to. Sorry, Aaron.
All good. You can just keep going.
But that doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately. There's some trends there. And to my knowledge, for a long period of time, we've always had to do some short-term borrowing, as a number of districts do. But in a perfect world, we have a fund balance that kind of floats us through the lean times before the revenues come in for all the different areas that we have. But we're not there yet. One of the more long-range goals I have for my chair is to try to get there. This year's borrowing was less than last year's borrowing, because that's, we built some fund balance back, and hopefully that trend continues on that aspect of things. So,
what's the period of time we actually hold the money?
Basically, it's a calendar year. Essentially, what it boils down to. I do want to, and Miss Dottie hates when I do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. She does an excellent job from our office handling the books and making sure that money works for us when it's not being used. So we have a local government investment pool that allows daily rates of return on the money. So very frequently, she's literally down to the day shuffling money around to make sure that we cover the expenses that we have going on in our banking accounts, but also then transfer it over there to try to gain that interest back. So we really do work hard to, as much as we possibly can, make it as cost neutral as it can be.
Is there any way to chisel the date so we hold the money less, or?
The rules are pretty tight on this one.
Who writes the rules?
Somebody who had made us make these rules.
Yeah, it's on the federal basis. So when you look at short-term borrowing like this, technically it has to be for less than a year, than 1 calendar year. So you're going to close on October 22nd. The payments are going to be due on October 15th of 2025. So usually we're structuring these for just a little short of 1 year. And again, right to your point, the cycle just continues, right?
And it couldn't be structured for 9 months if we figured out with our cash flow that we'd be fine for the 3 months after property taxes.
Yeah, I mean, this is the pretty standard approach that districts take. Yep.
So this one is money. We would need a roll call vote on it.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the resolution authorizing this temporary borrowing?
I make a motion to approve the resolution to allow the temporary borrowing.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Probst. Okay, then we will take a roll call vote. Mr. Probst.
Yes.
Burnett.
Yep.
Mr. Cowley.
Yes.
Bonnet. Yes. Mr. Langier. Mr. Hirsch. Yep. And I'll vote yes too. Motion carried. Thank you.
Yeah.
Item F, report and recommendations from the October 14th, 2024 Buildings, Grounds and Transportation Committee meeting, which was held
Just a
prior to
little bit.
this meeting. That would be Mr. Bonnet.
So we have, Artemis was here too, and we went over the bus situation. Looking to purchase 2 buses.
Yep.
There is 14 propane buses right now and 4 diesel spare buses. And the plan would be to get 2 yellow trip buses that are gas, 77 passenger. And to pay for them would be a lease to own option, 5-year option.
That's what we do like that, so. The board remembers that our current trip buses, they're white buses. And they've served us well for the years we've had them, but ultimately they get a little bit long in the tooth. And in a perfect world, we would train them into daily drivers, but they are not able to do that. They don't meet the requirements of being able to transport students with them and make stops on roads, highways, things of that nature. So knowing that that issue is coming, we're trying to get ahead of it. Now, if we were to approve this today, these buses aren't probably showing up for 6 months anyway. You know that. But, the intent to lease allows us to have a little bit less capital outlay. Mr. Glonick alluded to the 4 diesel buses that are 2012s. They're well past kind of their service life for us, but we've had to keep them alive and going and use them as spares, not because we want to, but because we have to. So eventually with this, the goal is to replace these 2 and then do a 2-in-1. So 2 buses 1 year, 1 bus the following year to try to keep our fleet up to date. Kind of how we got behind on this one is roughly 10 plus years ago, there was an energy exemption for the revenue limit where we did buy 6 buses at one time, which was great. That tool is no longer available to us anymore, so we've been trying to piece this together as best as we possibly can without, capital outlay of really $750,000 roughly for 6 buses is what it would probably be. So the lease option allows us to kind of be flexible with that. I did let the transportation committee know that we will continue to chase grants that are available to kind of offset some of these costs. We've applied in the past and haven't gotten it. We're going to apply again this fall to see if we can help offset the costs. And the next purchase would be for propane buses. The reason why we're going gas is for these trip buses is they're just easier to fill. We've had some issues going out of town to try to find propane stations that'll fill our buses. So gas is, for the most part, just as economical as propane, but it gives us a lot more flexibility in where we can fill up when we're out of town.
Just out of curiosity, with us being one of the largest square mile districts in the state, how do we not qualify for grants?
The grants that are out there right now are heavily invested into electric buses. And I'm not anti-electric by any stretch of the imagination. We have looked into it. We've had conversations internally. The reality is for us, it's not a functional technology at this point in the game. The battery usage during the winter is an issue, but the bigger issues, at least from my chair, is that our drivers drive their buses home because of the grounds that we cover. So these are not buses that you're going to plug into a 110-volt outlet. You're going to have to do potentially a lot of electrical work to get charging stations in play. And then also, we don't have the right equipment in-house currently to functionally work on these buses if we have issues when it does occur. So that's the why, is that the majority of the funds have been going to electric. They do have a small portion going to propane buses, which we chase. Hopefully this year will be our year. Hopefully.
Or any district. Go ahead.
Don't we get like a rural bus credit or transportation credit or something like that from the state?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's just what we call transportation aid, and that's basically a category of Students that live 0 to 2 miles from school, it's a flat rate fee that they give us to try to offset the cost. 2 to, I think it's 7 or 8 miles, 8 to 15, and then 15 and up. Those aren't the exact numbers, but the further you live away from us, the more aid we get. And there's also high cost transportation aid, which we also do qualify for. And that is based off of ridership and then really the distance we have to cover. And I guess the sparsity of our population, if you want to look at it that way. It's a large chunk of change, is north of $600,000, but I would argue that it doesn't quite equate our transportation department, not because of inefficiency. It's one of the most expensive to run per student in the state. It's close to double the state average, but it's not rocket science. We cover more ground, we burn more fuel, we pay our drivers longer, and our buses wear out quicker. That's kind of the quadruple whammy on that aspect of things.
And we deal with more salt than most districts do.
We do have salt up here, as many do. But yeah, if we're starting to talk about the next biennium budget, this is one of the conversations I'm trying to float there is transportation aid. It's just gotten more expensive to run things down the road. If you ship anything, you understand that. Our hope is that some of the aids reflect that, because that's a cost that is definitely part of our district, but it's not a classroom cost per se, right? It's getting kids to the classroom, but it's not the one when they're in our buildings. And if we're looking to kind of make it fair, I want to say that somebody that's paying $700 a kid versus us that's paying close to $1,400 a student to transport them, trying to balance that out a little bit better, in my opinion. That's one of the things we'll start to push for on our end of things. That's unique to our district. That's not every district by any stretch of the imagination. So that's why we have to kind of try to work as creatively as we can to solve the problems that we have. Because I don't have $700,000 laying around to buy 6 buses. And if I did, I'd probably do it tomorrow, but that's not where we're at.
Ooh, it's a 20, man.
That was his cue to stop talking.
Yeah, time limit. No time round.
Thanks, Vince. I'll be at 20.
So, the motion what would the motion?
I guess the motion would be to approve to lease 5-year lease 2 buses that we equate to trip buses. I missed this too, that those trip buses, when they're not running, they are school buses. We can run them on routes if we need to in a pinch. That's not going to be the primary use of those, but those trip buses don't go every day. And it'd be a nice reprieve to try to keep our diesel buses in the parking lot, because when they do go out, typically they're coming back with some kind of sensor issue, some kind of stuff that we have to fix.
And the propane buses work fine for route buses, but when you're out on a trip and across, or
we have had to drive 50 miles-ish one way to find a way to fuel those things. And the gas just gives us a lot better footprint to get from A to B with our students and
okay.
drivers.
So I'll entertain a motion then to authorize
purchase of 2 buses.
Purchase of 2 buses.
Yeah, 5-year lease.
Lease, 5-year lease.
I will make a motion. Said motion.
Perfect. You make that motion.
One second, but
Ms. Keller, did you get the motion?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Then we roll call vote. Sure, Mr.
yes.
Ladner?
Yes.
Mr. Laddick?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yep.
Mr. Coe?
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Transportation department, thanks you.
Okay, lawn care, item G, lawn care and snow plowing bid. How was this budget?
I'm talking too much in this meeting, unfortunately. So, as the board was aware, I let them know that I was going out for bid for lawn care and snow plowing, something that we haven't done as a district for a long time. Dolson was contracted to do our lawn mowing throughout the district for a number of years. He has actually gotten out of it and sublet it to Ram Property Maintenance. They've done it for the last, I believe, 1.5 years. Our providers are in the building here if you want to ask questions. So we had 2 bids to consider: Ram Property Maintenance and Maine's Lawn Service and snow plowing. My job from my chair is to try to provide a recommendation, and ultimately cost drives a lot of what I do, whether we want it or not. So my recommendation is for Ram Property Maintenance to receive the bid for lawn care. They've done the job. They've done a very good job of taking care of our lawn care needs really over the last year and a half. And based on cost of the bid and past experience, I recommend that they become our provider moving forward. Questions?
Yeah, is it the expectation that it's once a week, or is it as who feels?
So that's some of the things, yeah, so I've got in there kind of, the short answer is there's growing seasons and there's not around here. And that's, from my chair, I'd be working with that person to say, yeah, it's time to come in, and we get into the beginning parts of the year, most likely we're gonna be mowing 2 times a week because grass is growing very heavily. And if we didn't do it potentially 2 times a week, we're gonna have long grass. Majority of the time, it's probably 1 time a week. And if we have as dry of a fall as we had this year, which is a little bit uncommon, it's less than that. And we work with them to kind of, this area is growing well, but we're gonna mow it, but we're not mowing the whole entire thing, then that's prorated and work together. So I would anticipate.
But that's the expectation that went into this. Okay.
Yep. And then the weed trimming around all of our properties, which is another beast, is a every other week venture unless we have more than that. Yeah, we do have some ground to cover. If you guys know our footprints in our buildings, there's some grass to cut. No doubt about
How
that.
many acres is it?
I don't know the acreage. I'd have to run.
Dawson Lawn Care did a tremendous job.
Yep.
You're not advocating for no more weight.
No, I
We tried that in
I heard they tried that in another space and place. I won't say where.
See me after if you want to know where.
Any questions on the lawn care? Because I'll move into the snow plowing end of things unless you guys want to ask me anything or our providers anything.
Well, we probably want to approve this separately.
We can approve them separately. Yeah, that's fine with me. So,
Because separate bidders. Any other discussions on the, you're recommending the Ram property, is some of the same people that work for Dolson?
yes.
So it's pretty much the same company with different.
Dolson sublet it, so we actually paid Dolson, and then I'm assuming they worked with you and paid you. At least I hope so. Sorry.
Correct.
I didn't.
Yes. Yes. I'm the owner. I'm Alec, Ram Property Maintenance.
Okay.
Yes, I was sublet from Dolson for the last year and a half, and you guys would pay him, and then I would receive a check from Dolson.
Okay, so, okay.
Did a nice job.
Thank you.
Football field was straight.
But we do appreciate all the people bidding on this, because it's a big job, big commitment, so. The other bidder, we appreciate the bidding. Depending on how it goes.
So
I will entertain.
I guess before we make the motion, are we approving a 1-year contract, or is this gonna be until you have the bid? What are we approving?
So this is a 1-year contract with the ability to go to 3 years. So essentially after one year, as long as, I guess, the board is happy, we're happy, it's working well, then we would continue that contract. But I don't think we ever had any kind of general rules. My general rule is 3-year contracts are probably a nice benchmark to try to figure things out, is what it boils down to. So this is a 1 year with the ability to do additional years, as long as the partnership's working for everybody. So in so far, it would be the same parameter.
Agreed. Is there a price escalator built into that contract, or if you do a 3-year deal, this is the rate for 3 years?
What I anticipated the first year, we probably end up coming back and saying, is it the same or is it different? It's tough to fast forward down the road. There's no escalator in there right now.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve Ram as recommended.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Ram as recommended. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Ryan. Any other discussion? So we'll do a roll call on this one as well. Mr. Hirsch.
Yes.
Mr. Lambier.
Yeah.
Mr. Probst.
Yes.
Ms. Burnett.
Yes.
Mr. Glavine.
Yes.
Mr. Colloway.
Yes.
Nobody falls asleep. Carried. I gotta keep you awake. Motion carried.
Second half here, I'll keep it moving along. So snow plowing, we did receive 2 bids for snow removal, which I'm appreciative of. Ed Gruby Construction has been they plowed our lots for 20 plus years, I believe. And as I told the board, Ed is moving on from the business and I believe retiring. So we have 2 bidders. We have Soyne Brothers LLC and Maine's Snow Plowing and Lawn Care Snow Plowing. This one's a lot more difficult to repair or compare, because the reality is, and this is pretty straightforward, it takes a lot longer to move a foot of snow versus 3 to 5 inches of snow. So Soyne Brothers provided a bid that was on an hourly cost. Maine's provided a bid that was per time fee. But they also provided an annual cost fee that would run from November 1st to April 1st. I chatted with both providers. They have different equipment, but are confident they can do the job. Soyne Brothers has 2 international plow trucks with 11-foot blades and 9-foot wings to do the plowing. And they do have loaders to push back the banks when that's required to happen. Maine's has 4 large reel loaders or versions of them, similar to what Ruby did. And both have assured me that they have the ability to complete the job within the required time. Both have all the liability insurances that are needed to protect the district. For me, in my chair, it's difficult determining which bid is most cost effective on that aspect of things, because I don't know how much snow we're going to get this winter or not. If anybody's got that number, let me know, please. So the document you guys have is kind of based off of the information that I've had conversations with Ed Gruby, who knows our lots very, very well. And the amount of time it kind of takes to clear them. So the 5 hours to clear the NES and NMS lot and 5 hours to clear the NHS lot are probably what I would call the worst case scenario. We've got a foot of snow or more. It's going to take more time to do it. And we typically don't get, thankfully, a ton of those large snowstorms where it's going to take a lot of time. Our litmus test is if it's 3 inches or more, we're going to plow our lots. If it's less than that, we have some plow trucks and we're able to handle getting the areas cleared. The sidewalks are done with skid steers and brushes and things of that nature. So we handle all of that stuff internally. So that in my head, the difficulty was, do we just do the annual fee with Maine's? And if that is 1 time we have to plow, that's great for them. If it's 20 times that we have to plow, that's great for us. Or to do the hourly fee. I did go back and look at really about 6 years of the snow plowing that we had, trying to get an idea. So it ranges every year from, lean years were $14,000, and this is going back a number of years where it's less to operate these two. We've been north of $45,000 to remove snow, and they're very, very difficult winter 2 years ago. So it's difficult to try to compare apples to apples on this one, mainly because of the factors that I just talked about. All things being said, from my chair, I would say that it is always a little bit of a risk. We don't know how much snow we're going to get, but soaring would be the recommendation that we would make from our chair moving forward in terms of that aspect of things. Yes, sir.
The rate that's provided here from Soyry, is that more or less than what Ed was?
It's slightly more. Slightly more, not significantly more. But then again, we all know it costs more to run equipment.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious as to where that came in, as to where Ed was. I was able to see the last 15 years of plowing costs.
In terms of that aspect of things, other questions I might be able to answer for. Like I said, I appreciate both bidders. This was, I talked to each one of them multiple times. I appreciate all the information that they did share. It is, a situation our district hasn't had to be in for a number of years because we just did the job. So.
How about like on a weekend, if there's special events like the musical, for instance?
Yep. So part of that contract is they'd be working with me and And we would, much like what we did with Ed, we just had a good conversation and working through it. He knew that if I was in contact with him, once we knew we weren't gonna have school, if it was still snowing on any level, the lots sit, we don't wanna do it twice, we wanna do it once and be done. So Mr. Moore and myself and all the admin team are in a lot of conversations during those snow days to know, okay, is this, we're not going today, but looking like snow's gonna taper off. So we'll plow the lots, and once I get to go ahead and say, hey, I don't care if you come in at 4 o'clock after it's done snowing in the afternoon, or if you come in at 3 o'clock in the morning, I just need the lot cleared by no later than 7, because that's when traffic rolls in. It was up to Ed, the provider, to do that. So the general rule for us, obviously, as a school district, is to do the job that we need to do, but to do it the least amount of times we have to do it as efficiently as we can do it. It's just the reality, right?
What did Ed have for equipment?
Ed had ran 4 decent-sized wheel loaders. One with a push blade, the other with 2 buckets.
Are 2 international plow trucks could be enough, especially if one goes down and those big?
So that's gonna be some of the conversation that we have. I don't know if they wanna chime into some of the additional equipment that they may or may not have to help with that. But Ed did run basically a smaller dump truck to a single axle with it was an 11-foot boss plow that he used most frequently where we had smaller.
I'm just scared of the big storm if one truck goes, if they lose half their equipment in one truck.
What do you think they were looking to maybe comment?
So I'm Dustin Swearing, and this is my brother Garrett. We own Swearing Brothers LLC. So currently we have the 2 trucks. Along with that, we have a 150 horse front tractor loader, and we're getting a snow pusher for that as well. Along with that, we have access to 2 other tractors on hand at all times for plowing as well, and we have between us we have 3 skid steers. So if one piece of equipment went down, we have a wide variety of access to make sure that we can always get the job done.
And Ed was the same thing. I mean, there's equipment breakdowns happen. It can happen to anybody if they're new or old or anyone's trained.
For sure, it just goes a red flag on we have 2 trucks.
The general rule of thumb in the big snowstorms that we have, typically we're not coming to school those days, so we have a little bit of a buffer time where some equipment would be that, and then those would be some of the things that I've got to make sure I handle on my end to make sure that we're covered. And the last thing I want is our lots not being plowed and trying to deal with that headache.
This doesn't include Iron River.
No, Iron River separate. That's Holsma Building Products has done that. They've done that for years and done a good job for us. And so these would be basically our 3 buildings here in Maple Mountain.
So would this be the same as far as the 1 year, the 3 year?
That was on both sides are active, and we'll keep working through it.
Where is everybody coming from?
We're located just 2 miles north of right here.
Superior.
And I know you said that you had a plan to keep the equipment.
Yeah, we got properties that we take care of in Brule and Iron River, so.
And
area as well.
Yep.
Yeah. I know Ruby never left equipment here because he was close enough to drive it in, or if he did, it was very seldom. I had indicated to both providers we could probably figure something out. Not that I want a parking lot full of equipment, but maybe 1 or 2 pieces here. We have enough room, most likely at our NES building there to tuck them away if need be. So.
And we got rid of a few buses. So.
We're trying.
Well, we did get.
We'll get rid of a few more here coming up. I know that parking lot's not getting any bigger, that's for sure.
Cody, just one more question. Does your contract have language that protects both the school and the provider if for whatever reason they need to be somehow?
So yes, there's the clause in there that basically says that we're not happy, or we'll come together in good faith to negotiate a way out or a way in, I guess, for lack of a better term. So some of that legalese language in the RFPs is not my language. It's pulled off of pretty standard contracting stuff. So and that's for the district's protection and also the provider's protection.
Well, Mr. Ruby set a pretty high bar for accidents in the snow removal. Have you heard any complaints?
I did Joe removal. What are you gonna do? I don't call him at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sand or salt or whatever. Like, he said he'll figure out something.
Well, anybody, any other questions? Anyone wants to?
This was a difficult one.
Make a motion. We do appreciate, I mean, we're hoping to at least get one bidder. We got two, and we do appreciate both bidders.
I canceled the order for 500 shovels for our kids to use.
That would require teachers too, and staff.
Get them shovels too.
Well, if they shovel like my kids, they do it crappy.
Yeah.
Well, is there a motion in this one?
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Soaring Brothers for plowing and sanding.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Cully. Any other discussion? If not, we will. Roll call vote. Mr. Vanek,
Yes.
Mr. Cully,
Yes.
Mr. Net, Mr. Probst,
Yes.
Mr. Hirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Lander,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. So it's approved and it's awarded to Soaring Brothers. Thank you both bidders.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Item H.
District Academic Career Planning, Mr. Moore. Now, last month, we brought this to the board. It was in your enhancement, and we approved it, but, it got left off the agenda. So to make sure we're compliant and everything, we'll just bring it back to make sure it's, approved the right way. It was, so, we're looking for motion to approve the District Academic Career Planning. We do this every year. And, it's on our website, and, we're looking for motion.
Any questions? We discussed it.
Yeah, it was just, it was an oversight.
It wasn't on the agenda, so.
Yeah, so that's why.
It wasn't legal.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7, administrative report. Number A is communications, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, as you saw in your packet, we had our social media, report card coming through, on Facebook. We got, 3,776, followers. We got plus 35, growth, and, we're average monthly reach as 26,981, people. We've got 997 followers on Instagram. And I think that's pretty great. Our social media people do a great job. Our teachers and administrators send in the pictures of what's going on in the district, and they usually get it out that day. We also had just wanted to thank. We got an email from Ms. Becky Landwehr about the board and administration. The Northwestern Tiger Education Foundation would like to express sincere gratitude to those who attended our Unity in Action Gala. Your presence was not only noticed, but so appreciated by our community attendees. The feeling of unity and connection has been missing throughout our district. For some time, an overwhelming sense of Tiger pride swept the auditorium Saturday night. We look forward to making this an annual tradition for our community, keeping the flame of unity in action burning strong. The numbers continue to be tallied. We are honored to be able to share with you that we have raised in excess of $18,000 for the school district of Maple, and your support played a big role in that. That is outstanding in one event that the ladies did. So hats off
to that might have been what directly to the classroom.
Yes, and anything that teachers need that you're not getting with our PTOs and things like that. So it's apply for grants for some funding.
And we had a great speech by Mr. Graham.
Yes.
I would say great.
So, and then we had one more communication From our friends at CASDA, on behalf of CASDA, I'd like to send my sincerest thank you to the recent donation of $30 made in the memory of Rosanna Mary Garland. We were privileged to work every day with individuals who have serviced or survived abuse and are honored by them sharing their stories with us at CASDA. We work incredibly hard to promote the needs of those fleeing violence and ensure they have some place to go when abuse happens. Without our community assistance, we'd struggle to achieve that. You are kind and caring community members, and we are ever thankful for your gift in the memory of Rosanna. So that was sent out by Kelly Emberger, the executive director. Those are our communications we had.
And we have pupil, B is 7B is pupil count.
Yep, I think you have these via paper. I always want to give a recognition to, so every year at this time, all school districts go through what we call third Friday count, aka we count the number of students that we serve. So in theory, that seems really easy. But there's a lot of different factors that go into it with regards to open enrollment, both to us and from us. We have some students that are homeschooled that do come to us for particular classes. That's part of the formula. And it can be a very complex issue. It's not as simple as what we think it might be. So our admin assistants in each one of our buildings, I'm going to just name them all: Mary Misbauer, Ms. Evans at the elementary school, Gina Hiss at Iron River, Carlene Brandmeyer, Candy Staria at NMS, high school with Stacy Pooler, Tricia Buckmaster, Aaron Winterston help with this, so that I'd be remiss if I didn't. Jenny Keller is instrumental in putting all of this information together. So this is a very important data point for us. You guys know that our funding formula is based off the number of students that we serve. So you have basically third Friday from last year, second Friday in January, which is the other count date that we have, and then the last page is the most current. So I'll just kind of hit some of the highlights, what we call our head count, our number of students coming through the door. Last year, we were at 1,286. This year, we're at 1,273, so that's a 13 net lower in terms of that. So what the column of non-resident reductions, that's basically our open enrolled students into us. That's the way of saying it. So last year, we had 161 students open enrolled to us. This fall, we have 170, so that's +9, which is good. Resident reductions are our homeschooled students that join us for various classes, and we're happy to have them join us. And we have recaptured some enrollment. Some of those students who become our students full-time, which we're happy for. The next column over, resident additions. These are our students that are open enrolled out of the district. So we had 120 at this count last year, we got 111 this year, so that's a -9, which is what we want. We want fewer students open enrolled out, so it's essentially a gain of 18. All these numbers get boiled down to what we call FTE or full-time equivalency. So the reason why we talk about this differently is that the reality is a student who's in 4K does not get 1 FTE. They're not here full-time, it's actually 0.6. So we take the number of students that we have enrolled in our 4K program and we multiply by 0.6 and it gives us an FTE count. So that's the column on the very far right as you look at this form. So when I look at this, there's a couple of things, and there's the reason why. So our FTE count last year was 1,217. Our FTE count this year is 1,193. So that's 24 less FTE than last year. That's really the main reason for that is this. If you look at our high school 12th grade class from last year, it had 104 FTE. That's being replaced by a kindergarten class with 73 FTE. So there's mostly your FTE count drop. And it's a trend that's not unique to us, but it's kind of what we're looking at having to work through together is, as a general rule, we're graduating classes of 100 and replacing the classes in the upper 70s, lower 80s. So this number wasn't necessarily a surprise to us. It's not a number that we didn't You guys want to see in a perfect world, our FTE counts are always going up. We're happy to see that basically we're plus 18 on the gift take and open enrollment, which is offsetting some of that stuff. Our summer school attendance was a little bit less, 14 FTE, and last year we had 12 this year, not a huge difference. But it's important for the board to understand where these numbers come from, and it's kind of what drives everything that we do for my share a little bit. So it's not gloom and doom by any stretch of the imagination. We're kind of anticipating this and trying to work our staffing around the realities that we have, is that our classes are no longer 100 plus, our classes are typically 80 plus. Any questions on open enrollment, or excuse me, third Friday count, open enrollment, anything along those lines?
What is the pre-K classification with just a few kids?
So that is our 3-year-olds that have students with disabilities.
Oh, okay.
So our youngest kids that come to us, that's the pre-K classifications.
Yeah, good question.
So homeschool, are they on here?
So we count, yeah, we count them in the head count, but then we subtract them out for.
But homeschoolers that would go right to not another district, but a
online
non-school, not another school, but like a Christian homeschool or just doing their own homeschool.
Yep.
Are they listed? Are they?
No, so these are the students that are classified as homeschool, but do come to us for a class. Or typically it's a specialist class, an art class, a music class, a bio class, that type of stuff. And we do typically welcome those students to us when we have room in our classes to welcome them. And we try to work around their schedules as best as we possibly can, but there's not, certain classes are only offered at certain times of the day. That's just the reality of it. But by rule, by law, we have to allow this, and we're happy to do it because we try to.
So there's 7 of those.
7. Yeah.
But there's a lot of ones that don't avail themselves of the opportunity that are still out there.
We have, I would assume we have way more homeschool students than 7 across our district. Some of it is generational, and that's their choice, and I don't fault that choice. That's what they know and what they've done for many, many years.
I think they've reached out to the past.
Yep.
You continue to be.
So that's just a report. There's no motions or anything like that. I just want to make sure I keep the board apprised of when we count our students, kind of where we sit. And then Ms. Keller did create a document that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea as to where our students are open enrolled out to, and where our students are coming from when they open enroll into us. And we do always look at this list and try to analyze this list to see if we can continue to be as attractive as we can be as a school district for everybody.
Okay, item 7C, fall Region 1 meetings.
Yeah, we are heading to Hayward, Wisconsin tomorrow night. So yeah, we will we can meet here at the district office about 4:45 tomorrow. We'll be down there about I think we registration's about 6, and then the dinner's at 6:30. So
4:45 here.
Yep. That's all okay. Here. Yeah, I'll have the band and.
Will you pick me in the room?
We can, yeah, like we did last time.
That'd be great.
Yep.
5 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay, maintenance update, Mr. Petricotto.
Our pretty standard stuff on the maintenance update. We are kind of settled into our typical routine for the most part. September is true for our teaching staff, our students, and also our custodial staff. So nothing too mind blowing in there, general information for you folks. Any questions I can answer on that? If not, we can move on to the next one.
Okay, yeah, any other questions or any questions? Donations, Mr. Moore.
Sure. At NES, we had Mission Covenant Church donated multiple bags of school supplies and snack items for students. We also had Kim donated $500. That's the Kids in Need. Donated $500 for the guidance department. Over at Iron River Elementary School, Mission Covenant Church donated multiple bags of school supplies and snack items for those students as well. And so did Kim donated $500 to the guidance department over there. And then Figs filling in the gaps, donated school supplies over at Ann River. At NMS, we had Kim donated another $500 for the guidance department. At the high school, we had Young Athletes Foundation made a donation of $800 in vouchers for athletes to purchase running spikes for or running shoes. Ken also donated $500 to their guidance department. And a big thank you to the Ulu community for their donation of $620 to the Fine Arts Department. The donation will go toward the purchase of hand and power tools for the drama and musical section. Thank you to all those people that donated to us.
Yeah, that's great. One month we did that.
So.
Item 7F, WASB correspondence and legislative update, Mr. Coley.
Okay, there's not much in the way of new legislation this month. I think everybody's running for office and that sort of thing. There is a couple of headlines. State Supreme Court is hearing arguments challenging Governor Evers' partial veto, which increased revenue limits by $325 per pupil for the next 400 years. Not sure when there's going to be a ruling on that, but I would assume sometime soon.
I actually got to listen to that Wednesday. I was down there for the WIA one, and we listened to that one as well. It's very interesting how each lawyer, the first lawyer gets 25 minutes to argue their point, and then each justice will take shots at them, and they have to try to prove their point with other cases and all that stuff. And then the next lawyer gets 30 minutes to prove their case. Now, I think that was Governor Evers' person was, a district attorney, and he had a lot of years of experience in front of the state Supreme Court with the prosecutor, the plaintiff. He was a young guy. He must have been like 27, 28, but he actually did a really good job of trying to prove the case. They said that it takes about 2 months for them to get ruling on it, but very interesting process in all areas.
Okay, I mentioned this last month, but there are 137 local school district referendums on the ballot in 120 school districts. I broke that down. Overall, there's 59 referendums that will ask for temporary, non-recurring authority to increase the district revenue limit. 21 will ask for permanent recurring authority to increase the revenue limit. And there'll be 57 borrowing referendums on the ballot across the state. Total number of referendums is a significant increase from last year when only 82 questions were posed. So that's the trend, at least this year. Last thing, tax collection in Wisconsin last year was higher than expected by $275 million. The higher than expected collections were driven by $177 million more in income taxes than was projected in January, and $112 million more in corporate taxes. I would assume once we get a new legislature, we'll start getting new legislation. That's it.
Thank you. CISA 12 report, Mr. Vladek.
Okay, from our September meeting, CISA 12 has again scheduled some larger events at district sites. This includes Sportsman Summit Superior, the School Board Workshop Hayward, and the student events in Phillips and in Northwood. CISA 12 is undergoing changes in several technology-related areas this year. A new website, a CISA 12 app, Neon Online event, registration for software upgrading their Skyward financial software systems. CISA 12 service log and district dashboard they'll have. This is a new tool we are going to use to share information with our districts about how CISA 12 staff are providing the services that districts have purchased. CISA 12 consultants will be entering information about which districts have served on a particular day, what service is being provided, what district goals were addressed, and what programs purchased by the district were addressed by this service. Each district has a dashboard that will be able to see how many programs they have purchased, how many grant or contracted projects they are a part of, how many consultants days they've been purchased, and how many those days have been utilized. We also approved some policy revisions, mostly language like we do here. And our next meeting is tomorrow night.
So you won't be in Hayward?
No, I'll be at football practice.
That's what I
We got a championship on Saturday. Great team.
That's right. Thank you. Item H, student, staff, and community recognition. Mr. Moore.
Yeah, first of all, we'd like to say last week was School Board Appreciation Week around the country. I'd like to thank all of our school board members for the time that they put into what they do for the district and everything they do for our district. We are blessed here at Maple with a great school board. I've seen there's a lot of places where board meetings go on forever because we have a lot of back and forth in that, but we have everybody's heart is in the right spot, and you guys do a great job representing our school district. So thank you very much. We also have like to congratulate Mr. Adam Landwehr, because tomorrow night at our WASB dinner, he was going to be presented an award for level 1 recognition at the
Any idea how that happened? I mean, I really have no idea how this happened.
We'll find out tomorrow.
I'll report back what I didn't know what I did.
Years of service.
Years of service.
Yeah, okay, so you stick around long enough, they throw pins at you.
Remember, if you could, state the message.
All right. So we'd also like to give a shout out to our high school physical education teacher, Mr. Pete Lawton. A couple weeks ago, he was inducted into the University of Minnesota Duluth Athletic Hall of Fame. That is a very high honor, and it's interesting to get to know Pete and listen to some of the stories about what he played and everything, and how that went. Congratulations to him, because that's awesome. And I have one other little recognition I'd like to say. So I started a youth basketball K2 program at Iron River, and at Tuesday afternoons after school, and at MES on Saturday mornings. And I was thinking I was going to get maybe 20 to 25 kids per place. And I ordered T-shirts for everybody, and I ordered basketballs from Sterling. Got a black and gold basketball every kid's going to get. Well, I got 34 kids in Iron River, and I got 44 or 45 at MES, and it's going great. It's great, but I have some people I'd like to thank that donated some money to help me pay for those T-shirts and basketballs. The Security State Bank donated $300 toward that. I got a donation from Chippewa Valley Bank for $250, and also from Eddie's Supper Club gave us another $250. And then there was an anonymous donation from a community member that wanted to stay anonymous, gave us another $200. So thank you to those people for helping out with that. That was very generous.
I have heard from community members, parents, that they're real thrilled about the program that they've got with.
Yeah, it's
You're not a rookie.
No, I'm not a rookie. It's been doing that for about I don't know, 26 years. So it's that's the old FIAD teacher. I mean, that just comes out. It's just
What are the ages here?
K2.
K2.
So we do mass ball handling, and we do mass dribbling and form shooting, and we play some lead up games at the end, and the big thing on Saturday morning was I asked the kids. They said, "Okay, what's Mr. Morin's #1 rule?" And everybody says, "Hold the ball when he's talking." And then what happens when kid drops the ball? So, but it was.
And the shirt, what does your shirt say on the back?
The shirt say on the back, or they got Tiger, and it says Junior Tigers, but on the back it says it's been my motto since 1995 when I started my programs. It says the tradition starts here. So, which is a good way to put it. We're going to start with youth basketball, working up fundamentals, and build programs. So
Please tell me you get a bunch of help with that many kids.
you know what? I have I'm used to doing it on my own. I have Austin Lottie comes over to Iron River, and then I've got Justin Allison is helping out Saturday because he has a son in it. So it works out pretty good.
So.
Well, thank you for that.
Kids that age.
Item I, reports from the Northwestern High School. Northwestern High School athletics and activities that gets us all same person. Northwestern Elementary, Iron River Elementary Schools. Director of Special Education, district counselors, and students, district counselors. And we appreciate those reports. Any questions? No reports. And then we have reports from the student board representatives, and they are here, Kamado and Mr. Dons. So we'll turn it over to you.
So I can start out with athletics. So I don't know the football team. If you guys have probably seen us battled a couple of injuries since the last meeting, but they've also had 5 conference wins, including a homecoming win against Boomer, 64-0. I'm passionate to say that. So cross country has continued competing. That also included our first win. So we won our first meet of the year in Cumberland. We have our conference meet tomorrow in Chautauqua, followed by sectionals on Friday. Volleyball has continued conference play. They also traveled to Unity for a Saturday tournament where they finished with a second place result. And then they also hosted the Zosel tournament and went 3-1, which is our high school. So we had our homecoming week 2. We had court games. So the 5 homecoming couples competed in court games that featured a Hungry Hippos game, a couple trivia, tug of war on a drawing competition where they each drew each other. And then the winners, or the homecoming king and queen, were actually announced at the game on Friday. Francesca was the queen. We had Macho Man volleyball later in the week. So each grade put together a men's volleyball team and competed against one another. And the class of 2025 won for their 2nd year in a row. Then later in the week, it was wrapped up with Powder Puff football on Friday. So this time the girls all put together a team on football, and the class of 2025 won this too. The band on Saturday, October 6th, the Tiger Marching Band performed the tune El Gato at the Apple Fest in Bayfield. And then at the end of Apple Fest, we always join together in a mass band to play on Wisconsin with all the other schools who throw together a band. And then we also performed at the halftime of the homecoming game, where we performed a throwback to the 60s. So we played Hang On Sloopy, Land of a Thousand Dances, and Twist and Shout.
For activities, we only have like a few activities really rolling right now. So drama, they had their first competition a few weeks ago. They received lots of helpful critiques and they've been getting better and growing from the feedback. And then they have their second competition this Thursday at Drummond. And then Quiz Bowl, they had their first match last week and it was against Hurley and then they won. And then Amnesty International, Oscar went to this, so I think he can talk more on this, but Changemakers Day, they have that, and that's basically becoming a leader and how to properly change things you're passionate about, and that was held at the University of Wisconsin Superior. And then Art Club had a meeting on Friday. They voted on officers and discussed Visual Arts Classic competition, which is coming up soon in November. They get our prompts, and then they have their competition in February.
Okay, I guess that concludes the business of our TV, so we won't record, but we are going to entertain comments from the audience. Comments from the public. Agenda item is not the forum for school districts with Maple personnel concerns, and public needs to refrain from the use of names or specific positions when used in a negative manner. If you have concerns that involve personnel or staff members, please